Hello, this is Ariyana Love reporting with Occupied Palestine TV. I'm going to give you the news updates from the Occupied Palestinian Territories and Khan Al Ahmar village. The Israeli occupation judicial system gave the green light to demolish and forcibly transfer the Palestinian Bedouin village of Khan Al Ahmar in the occupied West Bank near occupied Jerusalem. Hundreds of people in this village, including hundreds of activists and hundreds of people, including some Israelis and international activists, are camping overnight, have been camping overnight the past few days to confront Israeli occupation military and bulldozers every morning to prevent the demolition of this village. Both demolition and forcible transfer of the Bedouin community are severe war crimes. Israeli occupation intends to move the 180 residents to a fenced-in area next to a toxic garbage dump. Khan Al Ahmar village is situated a few kilometers from occupied Jerusalem, in between two major illegal settlements. Now this is going to be hard to pronounce. Ma'ale Dumine and Far Dumine. I think I got that right. The indigenous Bedouin community belongs to the Jabaleen tribe. This community, the Jabaleen tribe are originally from Tel Arad in the Negev desert. They were originally expelled by the Israeli occupation in the 1950s. For years, Israel has been trying to displace this community for the expansion of their nearby settlements, which are illegal under international law and constitute war crimes and terrorism. This is a de facto annexation of the area of the West Bank without including the Palestinian inhabitants. It is a classic case of Jewish supremacy, of apartheid, to exclude the natural inhabitants. Not only that, but this would cut the West Bank into two pieces. And this is what Israel desires in order to be able to control the entire West Bank. So it's crucial that we stand in solidarity with the Bedouin community at this time and don't allow for the demolition and forcible transfer to occur. This particular issue is crucial to Palestinian resistance and unity. All right. The Israeli occupation war criminal leaders have made the lives of the Bedouin village intolerable, in hopes of driving them out of their homes of their own volition, so that the Israel and Jews cannot be blamed for their terrorism against the Bedouin community. The Israeli occupation refused to hook this community up with... Now I'm holding my microphone because this mic is a little bit weak, so it has to be close to my mouth in case anyone's wondering. Okay. The Israeli occupation refused to hook up this Bedouin community with running water, electricity, or a sewage system services, as well as refused to pave the roads and overtly prevents the construction of homes and public structures, and have restricted their grazing land for animals. This has forced residents to live in unbearable conditions, suffering severe lack of services in education, health, and welfare. Over the years, the Israeli occupation has confiscated various facilities and equipment and demolished structures from as early as 2006. Since 2008, the Israeli occupation has demolished 27 homes from the Bedouin community, making 132 people homeless, including 77 children and teenagers. In the 4th of July of 2018 of this year, the Israeli occupation civil administration officials with police escort and heavy construction vehicles began preparation for the destruction of structures in Khan Al Ahmar in the school communities. There is a school in the village that serves not only the Bedouin community, but also the neighboring communities. There are 170 children in total who attend this school, which the Israeli occupation is intending to demolish. Israel also began the expulsion of its residents and began abducting several people who were staging nonviolent protests, blocking military bulldozers. Demolishing the Bedouin home would constitute severe war crimes, and the Israeli Supreme Court of Justice will also be liable for these crimes against humanity. If we allow the illegal Jewish occupation to demolish Khan Al Ahmar village, an entire community of people, which is reminiscent of the Nakba, then the other Palestinian communities could be next. So that's a bit of a background about Khan Al Ahmar village. I hope that helps people to understand this issue a little bit better. I did get this news information, a lot of it from Palestinian people. Who did not want me to cite this source. Okay. Last week, 9 Palestinian structures and homes were demolished by the Israeli occupation militants who bulldozed the structures in Al-Hadidiyah and Al-Jiflik village in the occupied West Bank. This was all during the end of last week. Dozens of Palestinians were made homeless, including children. The Israeli Prime Minister and war criminal leader Benjamin Netanyahu warned the world on Monday that Israel would strike Gaza with powerful blows if the Great Return March protests were not brought to an abrupt end. And today, Netanyahu announced that Palestinians have 1 week to cease their protests in Gaza, or the Israeli occupation will carry out a full-scale military assault on Gaza. Palestinian youth, this is so atrocious. I don't know how I do this. It's so difficult to read this news, but it has to be done. Oftentimes the mainstream media virtually ignores Palestinian suffering. Okay, Palestinian youth a Palestinian youth was extrajudicially executed on Monday near the Burkan settlement in the occupied West Bank, north of Salfit. So this is in Palestinian territory. The Israeli occupation forces claim he tried to carry out a stabbing attack, but every eyewitness testimony said the youth was innocently crossing over to the other side of the road and had no weapon. This is a very common thing in Palestine, in the occupied territories, and in occupied Jerusalem as well. Either settlers or Israeli occupation militants will execute Palestinians on the spot just because they're trigger happy or they're afraid or for whatever reason, or they just want to get one under their belt. Because there's virtually no punishment for these things. But whenever you hear of a quote unquote stabbing attack, you need to step back and you need to start asking questions. Don't take the Israeli occupation's word for anything, because they are incessant liars. I have been observing their behavior since 2012 and as a journalist since 2013. And very rarely does Israel give accurate reports or honest ones. From time to time they do. But when it comes to these types of things, the Israeli militants can kill without recourse, without punishment. And they have been caught multiple times on footage and everything. There are human rights organizations which have made reports proving that the majority of In fact, it was Euromed Monitor in 2016 that did an investigation and found that on 8 cases, and all 8 of them of Palestinians who were of Palestinians who were killed by Israeli militants, 8 of them were, hi, World Goyim Unite, all 8 of the Palestinians were extrajudicially executed, and knives were planted at the scene by either Israeli settlers or by Israeli militants. So they are notorious for carrying knives around with them to place on Palestinians near their body for a photograph, you know. So I just want to clarify that this young man was, I would bet my life on it, that he was extrajudicially executed and innocent, like so many others. All right. And I don't have his name. It hasn't been released. Sometimes families don't want the names of their loved ones to go out into the media. Also today, the Australian Prime Minister announced that he is considering recognizing Jerusalem as Israel's capital city. So might I remind this Zionist stooge that Jerusalem is the eternal capital of Palestine. And if he makes such an error, it would automatically make him an accomplice to international crimes. Jerusalem, according to international law, is the capital city of Palestine, and it is occupied. It is also the capital of Palestine according to U.S. law. The U.S. president does not have jurisdiction over Jerusalem and does not have power to award statehood. So, according to also to UN resolutions, Jerusalem is the capital city of Palestine, and it is occupied. Now, more horrifying news. The Israeli occupation reconnaissance aircraft today fired on a group of Palestinian youth in Gaza. So they just fired, I don't know what this reconnaissance plane was firing, missiles at a group of youth, maybe to scare them. It's not the first time they've killed people with warplanes in Gaza. But, you know, it can happen at any time for them. And simultaneously, while they were striking with aircraft, they made an illegal incursion with military tanks into Gaza territory. These are war crimes. They brought bulldozers as well into the territory and tanks, and crossed the apartheid fence. 1 in every 100 people in Gaza has been injured at the Great Return March demonstrations. The international community must end these violations against international law. Well, World Goyim Unite just commented that that Jerusalem was stolen in the 1967 war. Yeah, but it's occupied. So, you know, it's not 100% successfully stolen yet. It's still occupied according to international law. Okay, I think I went through all my notes. Oh, that was fast. Okay. So yes, that's it. That's all I've got for you guys today. Oops, how did this get over here? Yes. So thanks for tuning in. I will be bringing more updates as time goes by. I guess I should just mention here that Anonymous carried out an Occupy protest in California yesterday. It was called Monsanto's Funeral. You can find it on that hashtag at Twitter. And they shut down a Monsanto facility, and they're going to be doing a report on this. I think 4 people were arrested, but they were released. That was yesterday. Those people were released today, because a lot of people were calling to the police department asking about their whereabouts. which is real testimony. When we put pressure on the authorities, then they tend to act in our favor. What else? The Khan Al Ahmar is still under threat of demolition. This is ongoing. There is a vigil being held with hundreds of activists sleeping overnight to confront the Israeli occupation forces each morning to prevent the demolition and forced transfer of the Bedouin community. So we need to continue to give our support. There is Occupied Palestine TV did carry out a Twitter storm yesterday called, it was hashtag Save All Khan Al Ahmar. There's also a hashtag Khan Al Ahmar on Twitter, and you can find information that way. So thanks for tuning in, and please share. Ariyana Love reporting with Occupy Palestine TV.